What's going on, guys? Welcome back to probably the longest D&D recap video that you guys are going to see in a long time. And the reason I say that is because I haven't recorded one of these in a long time, since probably like the very beginning, or like our second, maybe third session. And we have played for a while, and we are pretty freaking far now. So, well, not really, I want to say pretty freaking far, but we're pretty far, where it's going to take a lot of, explaining and doing a lot of me looking back at my old photos and notes of what happened. So if you hear a lot of clicking, that's me just recapping myself of what exactly happened, because even I forget. But anyways, let's get into it. The last thing on the last video is Calypso, Canwell, and Vash were making their way to Westfall to kind of get his boat and head back to Galhara to try to find Canwell's parents, the dragons. But however, it wasn't exactly easy of them trying to get there. Once again, all the clicking. While making their way back there, they encountered bandits that attacked them, tried to steal their horses, but they managed to defeat them pretty easily. And they eventually came to a basically this huge gate that was kind of blocking them from a place called Duskwood. Which the guards warned him about to be this place filled with the undead, and just this dark mist, this dark fog, and these werewolf type creatures. But the shortest way to Westfall was to go through Duskwood, so they decided to go past the gate and make shelter inside this little guard hut for the time being until nighttime passes. So as they head inside and they're all kind of getting cozy, they see that the first thing they see inside Duskwood is that this land looks desecrated. It's ruined. There's like purple lakes. There's these gnarled trees and just this thick black fog. As they're kind of sitting inside this house, they begin to hear a bunch of screaming, and one of the guards just begins to yell out and just yelling, "Incoming! Large and dead headed this way!" And they began to yell, "Close the gate! Close it now!" And he said, "Sorry, civilians. You can help or you can hide in here. We won't blame you for anything." So these two knights, as they kind of run outside and began to take a defensive position that they can barely see throughout these lampposts, throughout this thick black fog. And as they're kind of peeking outside, Calypso mainly, she sees this huge, large skeleton minotaur rushing these guards, charging into him with a couple of skeletons making their way to attack the guards as well. The group decides to bust out in action to help these guards, leading to the skeleton minotaur to bust inside the guard barracks and begin to attacking. However, they do manage to destroy and kill these undead. They did have to leave due to the destruction of the guard barracks, so they just they decided to hop on their horses and head deeper into Duskwood. As they make their way into Duskwood, however, it's just almost perpetual darkness. The fog is covering their vision. There's like tiny orbs of light leading their way, but other than that, it's just moans and footsteps that they can hear of the undead. And as they're making their way down, they begin to step on some kind of debris, like wooden planks. As they kind of look down, there's this caravan standing in front of them, just crashed. And as they begin looting it, kind of checking around, they notice that there's a bunch of undead surrounding them. These big ogre zombies kind of walking over to them, surrounding them. As they begin in a battle with these guys, almost believing that they're about to die, these large, furry beasts jump out and begin attacking the undead. Canwell falling in battle, I believe. And they all wake up or kind of return because they are basically, I believe they all went unconscious. They wake up inside this cave where they're on this little ritual table where they're just surrounded by these guys, these almost werewolf type creatures. As they kind of look around, I'm trying to talk to these guys. They're just more of confused. One of the it's kind of the bigger one that seems to be kind of leading this little group of Werewas, introduces himself as Rulao, the leader of the Worgens. The Worgens decide to make a deal with these three individuals, saying if you, since we assisted you and helped save your lives, you can assist us. The caravan that you guys found was supposed to have a bunch of resources and supplies for us. We want you to go follow the blood trail that was there and bring back whatever inside that caravan. And they said all of it. And they warned them to not betray them at all. And they demanded that they leave now and bring back the supplies. So the group made their way back to the caravan, following this blood track that led to this very beat-down big house. Upon entering, this huge spear just kind of came down, activating a trap, but they managed to dodge out of the way before it hit anyone. In front of them stood a woman who, she had this very much blonde white hair, these very much glowing blue eyes, some really nice clothing, a nice huge, almost like katana with this big glowing light blue tattoo on her arm, who introduced herself as Lily. She looked injured. She looked kind of bloody. She was alive, and she appeared to be doing well throughout what her appearance was. Behind her was a variety of people, and as the three of them kind of looked around, she kind of just, I forget what I just said. Lily kind of just told him what exactly was going on, as the group saw all the supplies behind these people that were all sitting inside this building. And the group decided to make amends with these people and let them keep the supplies, and then just to try to leave Duskwood without these Worgens finding out. Lily was also apparently the leader of these Worgens. She was the one that was destined to cure them, but she decided to stay and help these people instead. Upon the group leaving, the house almost disappeared, becoming this weird enchantment, just invisible barrier basically. And as they were kind of walking out, a figure fell out. This, I believe, half-elven woman, I don't remember what race she is, named Arya. As she was kind of pushed out into the ground, Lily said, these are your new adventurers. Go hang out with them. Maybe they can help you do your quest more than I can. So this woman Arya was kind of left with these three people, and we're just kind of banded together and decided, okay, let's just go, I guess. They eventually made their way out of Duskwoods without alerting the Worgens, and eventually arrived at Westfall. This rich agricultural center. It just has it's basically an old farming land of what Westfall is. And as they arrived here, the fog, the dark black fog is gone. It looks a lot more better than where they just were. There's nothing. The buildings are nothing special. There's just like a normal everyday village. Eventually, they arrive at a bigger house, kind of down by the shore. And out near the water, you see a dock with this decently sized boat and a woman walking around the ship. And as they kind of approach, the woman looks at the group and then yells at Vash, basically screaming at him, saying that you left me with your damn chicken and your boat, and I want rent for this because you're leaving your boat at my dock. Vash and the woman named as Talina got into a little bit of an argument, but eventually Vash agreed to give her money to thank her for, watching the ship. And they eventually hopped on the boat and began to head back to Galhara. As the group, we go to part 5. As the group sailed quite a while, about a month, all the way to Galhara, they eventually arrived at basically the Kingdom of the Seas, located on the Broken Isles, where they arrived at this huge water gate, and guards asking why they have come, or what they want. Upon explaining, they let them in, and they noticed that Galhara was pretty heavily damaged. As they made their way to the princess, however, it seemed it was only 3 of them. It seemed Calypso has disappeared, and it was just Vash, Canwell, and Arya. Calypso was nowhere to be found. The 3 of them made their way to the princess, talking about them, seeing if they could find out any information, and asking about any dragons. She told them that she saw 2 dragons, a blue and a white one, kind of flying down the area where the tournament was being held. However, the tournament is now a deadly place, because some people still believe that the tournament's still going on, and monsters have risen and are kind of attacking these people. When they entered the tournament grounds, they see that it was charred and burned, and they began to slowly kind of make their way around, knowing that this magical barrier that kind of kept everyone alive, even if they died, was now gone. So if you die in this, you're dead forever. As they make their way into the forest, they found the old cultist hideout where they entered once before. However, upon entering, they found a little secret hole in the wall. And upon entering, they saw a circle of blood and a bunch of dead cultists surrounding the circle. And in the middle of the circle was a halfling with 4 tubes sticking out from her body. The tubes were filled with a black and slight purple liquid going inside her. This was the character known as Caspian. The group was very hesitant to kind of free this individual, not knowing exactly what's going on, but decided to free her anyways. And Caspian kind of stood up, being, the tallest she can be. She kind of stood up and kind of looked at all these guys. She had a weird sense about her. She knew that these people were here, even though she was in basically almost a coma. And she as well joined the group, not wanting to be here, not exactly knowing what happened to her or how she got here. The 4 of them made their way out to head to the cave, looking for Canwell's parents. As they made their way to the cave, they eventually did find these 2 dragons after trying to be attacked by these cultists. Or not 2 dragons, 1 dragon, being I believe the white or blue dragon. I believe it was the white dragon, which was Canwell's mother. She was very, very happy to see her son after the recent incident, explaining that she had to freeze him 250 years ago to kind of keep him safe during this huge war that was going on. And upon asking where where his father was, she explained he's in the Lightborn capital, the capital of the dragons. Upon saying he's not ready to go yet, she decided to challenge him to see if maybe he might be. So, summoning a baby dragon, the group had to, the 4 of them had to fight this baby dragon, eventually killing him, barely. The mom turning into human form and saying goodbye to her son as she sent them to the Lightborn capital. And as they stepped through this portal, they arrived at these floating islands in the sky. In this unknown dimension, they could see that the skies are bright, the air is warm, and the breeze is as gentle as a summer's day. And as they're looking around, the first thing they see is these enormous amount of metallic dragons, all of different sizes, just soaring through the air. And it seems this land is covered with them, all of different sizes and metals. And they stand at the edge of the island, looking below. They see nothing but clouds. And the portal suddenly closes behind them. And as it does, they see that they are now surrounded by a variety of dragons looking at them, as well as these armored knights, each a different suit of metal armor. So, who goes there? One of their knights shouts at them. as he kind of approaches them. As they explain what's going on, the guard kind of looks at him and takes the word for it of Canwell saying basically, his father's here. They make their way throughout this Dragonborn capital. They make their way to this huge wooden gate with this big wooden wall kind of surrounding, almost in like a circle. When the gate opens, they see they are led to this big building, and upon entering, you see a variety of different people. Just a bunch of basically non-armored people, besides just the ones outside protecting. They see a man by the name of Anaris, who has this almost platinum-like hair and these platinum eyes. He's just wearing like a nice little brown shirt with a piece of platinum shoulder piece on his right shoulder. This is the right. Anyways, and they also see Princess Shalana from Galhara here, and a woman known as Sorith, who has this beautiful long blonde hair and a nice little platinum crown around her head. And they also see a kind of a muscular man who has short black hair that's kind of swept to the side, a tattoo right in the middle, nice beard, almost like a sleeveless shirt with fur around his neck, and some armored gauntlets. He introduced him as Laurelin, also known as Canwell's father. As Canwell approaches, Laurelin looks at him and says, "My son, is that really you?" As he kind of runs up, or as Canwell kind of runs up and hugs his father, they, upon greeting, and Anaris kind of speaks up and says, "So this is the son you told me about, Laurelin, the one who says he has a great destiny." Laurelin kind of agrees. Canwell kind of confused, but Laurelin just kind of brushing it aside, saying, "You're not allowed to know yet." As they kind of explain what's going on, Anaris tells them that they've heard about this situation from Shalana and Laurelin. It seems the monsters of the realm have awakened once more, and the only way that could be possible is if Pelor's light has been destroyed or taken, or something would have deactivated it. They're not exactly sure. Something is really wrong here. Anaris says once he gets things taken care of here, he will see if he can meet with Pelor and see if he can figure out what's going on. Then he kind of asked him about themselves, just asking how they are in combat, and since monsters have been gone for about 250 years, how well they can handle them. He decides to give them a couple relics or two. One being a couple daggers, a blue and a gold one with this magical aura around it, this other with a binding radiant light. And as he hands Vash these daggers, as Vash kind of takes the daggers and he puts the hilts together, it forms into a beautiful bow of both colors kind of mixing together that, when pulled in the shooting motion, just forms its own arrow. It appears doesn't need arrows. He also hands them, Canwell, these almost rock-like gauntlets that just heat with this, just with like magma, known as magma fists, which make sure you're pretty protected with, when you punch the crap out of things. And I also hand them a pair of almost like leggings, known as Volok's armor, who kind of make their skin a lighter blue, but make them a lot more charismatic and blue. And he kind of just says, take these will help you in your journey on way to go. And he's kind of talking to everyone. He talks to Sora, saying, Sora, if you can send him back to Stormwind. And the princess need to meet the king. He says, he talks to Canwell, saying, your father has high expectations for you, and don't let him down. Don't let him down. Vash, you're very charismatic, but don't let that consume you. Use your way of words to your advantage. Caspian, you have a great deal of darkness within you. Be careful with that. You can use that darkness to strengthen yourself, but if it overtakes you, you could become corrupt. And Arya. Arya is a dangerous source of power. Used correctly, you can be a source to reckon with. Continue to study and learn how to control it. You'll be great. Then as he kind of waves goodbye, Sorath eventually sends them and their boat that was at Galhara back to Stormwind. As the portal opens, as they step through, they appear inside the throne room with King Alistair. Kind of standing there, and all the mages kind of quickly, or all the guards quickly surround them as Alistair kind of stands up and says, "Wait, they're friends." As he kind of greets the princess, and the princess and Campbell and the group explains everything, what's going on, and what's happening. As they kind of talk, I have to burp. I'm sorry. As they kind of explain what's going on, as they get through this whole conversation, King Alistair says, "Well, if you need any assistance, if you want to go help or do anything, I'm kind of busy at the moment. Go check the guard barracks or the mage quarters to see if they need anything." They decide to make their way to the guard barracks, where they are told that a local bandit hideout has been discovered. They appear to have got the jump on a member of a secret group known as the Gunslingers. More than likely, they're trying to produce one of their unique weapons. Go and stop them. I'll show you a map. I'll show you on the map where they are. They decide to make their way to... they decide to make their way out of Stormwind and begin to head deep into the Elven Forest, where they begin to head to a place called Northshire. Where there's these mountains that are high in the sky, where there's this cave entrance in front of you, and the entrance is blocked by a wooden gate, where logs have been pointed to create a barrier that looks impossible to climb over. They managed to successfully assassinate these guards, one by Vash, and I believe the other of Caspian getting thrown towards them and kind of just snapping their neck, in a way of speaking. They managed to make their way inside, Vash sneaking inside this building, avoiding all the guards, and comes across this kind of big circular room by a fireplace where all these people kind of talking. As Vash kind of walks through one entrance, he decides to try to sneak into this room where all these people are standing, into another room, even though it's completely wide open. There's exactly no way he can technically sneak past these, but he tries it anyways and is confronted by all these guys, as one of them looks at him having this kind of a shaved part head, his red hair kind of swept to the side, this reddish beard, and some weird clothing. He does appear to have what looks to be a weird firearm in his side. As he begins questioning Vash, he begins to shoot Vash a total, I think, of 3 times before the rest of this group kind of makes their way inside the room, where they break into battle with this bandit and his bandit group. And as they're fighting, they see a woman bust in, who's wearing kind of like a black hat with really white hair coming down the side, almost to a little past shoulder length. She's really pale in skin and wearing a nice leather jacket with all kinds of different shades of black, gloves, and she has what appears to be what looks to be a huge rifle in her hands, as she shoots the bandit leader, blowing him to pieces, and then points the gun at Vash and the rest of the group, asking what they're doing here. And as Vash explains, basically, we came here to get this thing for the gunslingers, and she kind of walks up, takes the gun, and takes any thing that would kind of expose the secrets of the guns, and then leaves. However, they did seem to make a good first impression with these gunslingers. They didn't end badly with these gunslingers, so that was good. They managed to leave the bandit hideout, collecting a sword known as the Emberblade and a poison dagger. Vash kind of tending to his bullet wounds. They make their way back to Stormwind, eventually resting up before heading back to the mage quarters. They decide what could be next. Gilmore tells them that the Burning Steps, there's an Altar of Storms where he believes a rebel mage is located. They should proceed with caution, because magic that has not been supervised can be very dangerous. As they make their way to the Burning Step, they see that it's this rugged region that is full of these craggy foothills, these scattered boulders, and warring factions. You see that there's rivers of lava that dot the landscape, as well as charred earth and burning ruins. The skies are red hue here due to the sporadic eruptions from Black Rock Mountain. The weather here is hot and humid and comforting than what you're used to. But the storm of Altars isn't too far away. It is a short distance from the Elven Forest. They eventually make their way to it, seeing a bridge leading to Altar Storms, a lava river flowing through underneath, and stick your friends in the middle of the circle. Upon the altar, chanting words that you don't recognize, you see 4 figures in cages on opposite sides taken from the lava. They decide to break into battle with this abomination, fighting it and eventually killing it as they manage to successfully free these cages, moving them above the platform instead of over the lava, and dropping these 2 people. One being a black human and the other being a dwarf. The other side being a high elf cleric and a dragonborn barbarian. And the dragonborn barbarian introducing himself as Kriv, and the high elf cleric introducing himself as Miley. They kind of group up, and the black human and the dwarf say that their village was under attack by some crazy creature, and then they need help now. So as they make their way over they see that the bridge has been destroyed in the process, so they have to kind of jump over it. During this process, the black human managed to slip and fall into the lava as they try to kind of catch him, but he just burns to crisps. Arya also falling into the lava, but managing to make her way out before dying. They make their way deeper into this village hidden in these mountains that is currently having a bunch of people running around, freaking out. As they make their way inside, they see this kind of like this 10 almost diameter head floating with one eye in the middle, a bunch of eye tentacles just flicking around. This being known as a spectator. I described that terribly. And someone dead, kind of walking around. As they break into battle with this spectator and this undead, they manage to kill them and find what looks to be this mage, basically I would say a mage hidden in this alley, saying, "Wait, don't kill me. It was an accident. How about I make you a deal? I have 5 cards. Each one contains a different magical effect." Basically borrowing these adventurers to, if you, I'll give you a magical effect, chance, luck on your side, if you keep me alive. The group decides, okay, let's have fun with this. As he pulls out his cage, or as his pouch, he has his 5 cards. The cards appear to be the Fool card, the Devil card, the Strength card, the Judgment card, and the Death card. Each one of them actually drawing a card. They appear to have no really negative effects. The only one that seems to have a couple negative effects is Kriv lowers 1 foot. And I think that's about the only bad thing that can happen. Arya and Caspian become really good at talking to women. Canwell becomes a lot more stronger. And Vash draws a card called Judgment, where it says your luck can only go so far, especially when it comes to women. And suddenly he feels a weird sensation in his drawers. And he suddenly has bad luck talking to women. He thanks them for keeping their word for not killing him after they decide we need to be finished with these cards. And he hands them this rusted gold, this rusted gold coin with a crack down the middle that says a 1 on it. He says, use this coin only in your most dire situations, for this is really important. And as kind of Arya looks at it, it is a wish spell on a side of coin. He then leaves and saying, basically, the man in the cage is yours. As they look up, they see a Goliath hiding in a cage, or stuck in a cage. It appears to be sleeping. As they kind of free the Goliath, he introduces himself as Aldrax, not exactly knowing how he got here or what he is doing here, but they decide to take Aldrax with. They decide to take Aldrax with them, and Aldrax and Caspian seem to get pretty friendly with each other. They seem to almost be like best friends. One tiny halfling and one huge Goliath. After they return to the Stormwind, they were told about this huge commotion of this thing with Clucky, Vash's chicken. Caspian kind of talking to these guards, saying that Clucky is this demonic chicken from hell, that he is a hellish overlord, and freaking out all these guards because of this huge commotion and having the guards freak out, and just bad stuff happening all around. Basically, they managed to persuade or intimidate all these guards, freaking them out, saying that this chicken is bad news, and managed to convince the guards to give Vash and his chicken a bunch of basically chicken food. And they kind of, after that, become terrified of just everything. During the whole, I forgot to mention something very important. During this whole trip, when they were adventuring, Kendall was knocked unconscious at one point. Caspian tried her best, or was trying to discover how she can heal him. However, when she went to Canwell to kind of aid him, she managed to not purposely but accidentally almost trigger this black ooze to drip inside Canwell's mouth, causing him to come back to life, but not exactly knowing what she did, managed to almost corrupt Canwell in a way. She also managed to do this with Clucky the chicken. As they were back on the boat, the three of them noticed that they could communicate telepathically if they were seeing each other, and they knew that something was not right. Caspian trying to tell her secret, not exactly being able to, kind of just explained, "I'm sorry." They were told that Stormwind is having the festival here instead of at Galhara due to the whole incident of what happened. As they made their way out doing a quest, as they returned, they saw that Stormwind was being a lot more busier than normal. There was carriages of people from all different races and sizes all piling together through the gate. And there was lines from the bridge to the Elven Forest, and guardians stand in place to ensure the safety of the people. Eventually, after standing in line, they eventually make their way to the gate, where they are greeted by a unique individual known as Finnegan from Finnegan's Fabulous Finds. Finnegan greeting them, saying, "Good evening to you all. I haven't seen you guys in quite some time. I guess you're here for the festival. You're all going to sign up for the drawing of the sword. Whoever draws it gets to dance with the Princess of Galhara and Stormwind at the dance. They have sworn named the new heroes of Tav." And after signing up, so after they all sign up, they decide, alright, they might as well just go to it, since it was starting pretty soon. As they make their way to the Sword Festival, it's this huge throne room where there are 3 thrones lie at the back of the room. King Alistar in the middle, and followed by Princess Alana's left, and another princess you ever seen before, known as Princess Keyleth of Stormwind, Alistar's second daughter. In front of them lies a pedestal, with a beautiful blade that lies in it. And the chairs are just filled with people. On the upper floors, for the more people. One man yells, "All stand for the king!" Yells one of the royal men located to the right of the king, kind of backwards against the wall. There are 6 chairs against the back wall of this room, behind the king. 6 men sit there. Well, not men, just 6 people. Just kind of sit there watching the sword. One of them stands up, saying, "The drawing of the sword will begin. I will begin to announce the names of the competitors who signed up to draw the blade. One by one he announces names of people who signed up. They will each attempt to draw the sword. Miley going first, not managing to draw the sword. Aldrax, Caspian, and Canwell, and eventually comes down to Kriv, as Kriv manages to successfully pull this sword out from the pedestal he suddenly feels this great power within him, and almost like he sees this woman in front of him who introduces herself as Aldria, who appears to be the Lady of the Lake who lies herself inside the sword. Upon drawing the sword, this anti-magic field kind of cuts, or just appears, cutting off the people to the stage, leaving Kriv all by himself with the royals behind him, and the people and all the other contestants on the other side. So eventually Kriv is by himself with these royals, and all these other people were kind of trapped, being back there. The king kind of quickly standing up. Another anti-magic wall appears, locking the royals from Kriv. Kriv all now being in his own little anti-magic field. And another anti-magic field, the last one appearing at the gate, so no one can leave this place, apparently. No one can leave this throne room. As they're kind of all freaking out, wondering what's going on, these guard drakes began approaching and walking out. Began biting some of these civilians and ripping them piece by piece. As these almost these people kind of approach out of the darkness. She walks up to Kriv, or this figure walks up to Kriv saying, basically, why thank you for doing this for me. I'll be taking it from you. As she puts this dagger to his throat. And they all began to break into battle with these, or Kriv begins to battle these bandits, these 4 bandits attacking him. And these, the other, Aldrax, Caspian, Camwell, Arya, and Vash, and Miley are battling these guard drakes that seem to just be tearing the flesh off of people and killing basically everyone inside the this little contestant room besides the Miley, Aldrax, Caspian, Camwell, Arya, and Vash. They seem to be the only survivors as Kriv manages to defend himself from these guards. Caspian all of a sudden changes. Her halfling kind of sweet form now changes into a dark shadow as these hands consume her, now turning into this dark, her skin now turning into a dark gray. Her eyes, from being white, go to just a pitch black with red pupils. As her hand extends, growing, busting out at least 60 feet as it grabs this humanoid off of the upper floor and throwing them to the ground. This figure appeared to be holding up the anti-magic walls. They break into battle once more with this figure, and Aldrax begins to try to help this figure at some point, kind of protecting her, as Caspian kind of sees this, her new, almost like demonic powers are debating about killing Aldrax, so she quickly imprisons him in this bone cage, same with the 4 bandits that are attacking Kriv. God, my nose is itchy. And just going into battle. As Aldrax is attacking this figure, as he kind of slices through her, he sees that her figure kind of disperses and it goes to a different humanoid figure than what he's seen. This kind of pale white, dark black hair figure as she quickly teleports out of the room. As the walls drop, a bunch of guardians kind of rush in. Kriv barely standing. And the king and queen, or the king kind of approaches, and they kind of just ask what was happening, and they're just very much confused. All of a sudden, the Heroes of Tav is called by Princess Keyleth, and as she kind of explains that they were really confused about these assassins, not knowing exactly how they got here or how they were managed to get inside. She basically explains she does not want the king to know about this, and she explains that basically it seems one of the royal members of the court might have been behind the assassination last night. And she mentioned how she was walking in the garden last night and saw one of them. She recognized the clothing but not the person wearing it, seeing basically that they're meeting one of these assassins, and she says she needs you to find out why they needed the sword and maybe just find a base of operations and see if they can just figure out who this traitor is. they decide basically to call a council meeting with these members and just try to get a look at all of them, just to see who's what everyone is like. As all of them, not just the heroes of Tav, make their way inside this courtroom, they meet with all the warrior members, consist of Arya, Anivia, Azir, Garen, Castan, and Lucian. The heroes of Tav and Anivia quickly get into a dispute where Kriv is asked to leave. Anivia basically challenging him because Kriv is all high and mighty. They learn that Arya is kind of this, almost like a snotty bitchy kind of female. Anivia is mean, but she's strong. Azir, this kind of laid back, where remember, Garen, the silent one, but he has little words to say. Castan, he seems to be very calm and nice and very patient, and Lucian, the strong, brutally honest one. One of these warrior members appear to be a traitor. Now, before you guys continue, I'm just going to ask you, if you do want to participate, just comment down below which one you think is the warrior member, or the traitor out of all of these. I'll repeat the names once more. Arya, the snotty bitchy one. Anivia, the mean but strong one. Azir, the kind one, workable and laid back. Garen, the silent one of little words. Castan, the calm, nice one, who's very patient. And Lucian, the strong, brutally honest one. Which one do you think is the traitor? Just comment below. Anyways, back to the story. As they kind of go back to the ship to discuss what's going on, they decide that Vash should be the one to kind of sneak in and observe these people, being the best stealther, in a way to speak. Princess Keyleth basically says, meet me in my chambers, we can discuss, or meet me in my chambers tonight and we can discuss what we need to do. Vash decides to make his way inside the castle, talk with Princess Keyleth, and decide which ones he needs to kind of scope out. The first one seems to be Azir, Ari, and then Cassadin. As he snuck out of the princess's window, he managed to climb his way on top of the castle, scoping out Azir, knowing that when he found Azir, he was kind of sitting on his balcony, kind of talking to himself, saying, "There was no way there can be a traitor here. It's just impossible. There's no way." So Vash, after hearing these words, kind of scoped out, saying, "There's no way he could be it," and decided to make his way to Ari, who kind of appeared inside her window, sneaking down and seeing that she was working on some blueprints. Seemed to be the blueprint maker, and had a little small child kind of come into her room where she was smiling and kind of being really friendly with this child. She seemed to almost appear to be like a mother-daughter kind of thing. Vash decided probably not this one either. He managed to kind of, instead of making his way onto the castle, he was greeted with some guards as he tried to make his way to the royal library. The guards asking what he's doing here, and he said he was just basically meeting with the he was just basically saying, I was just looking for the princess's room. He was very much questioned and asked to leave, as he kind of decided, okay. He admitted to the Princess Keyleth he was busted, made his way back to the roof, and snuck inside the royal library. As he made it to the royal library, he was kind of sneaking around, but Cassidy managed to see him and kind of asked him, what is he doing? And as he introduced himself as Canwell, he basically explained that he was looking for a love book to basically seduce the princess, as basically they were having sexual relations. So he's been coming in here, basically sleeping with her. Cassidy kind of laughs at him and says, okay, why don't you just come, you want to go on a walk with me and see, as they make their way out to the gardens, Cassidy begins talking to him, explaining that he's very grateful to the king for he picked him up when he was little and helped him very much and just saved him after his family was murdered and all this. And Vash eventually came clean and admitted that he was Vash and not Canwell. And Canwell kind of was really suspicious of him, but kind of just agreed with him and said it's okay. And eventually, Vash left, head back to the princess's room, where she scolded him for saying that he said they were sleeping together. But Vash decided to try to scope out one more, being a Nivea. However, upon sneaking onto the castle walls, he was spotted by guards, and quickly yelled as the warning bells began going off, as Vash was shot at a couple times with a crossbow, being struck a couple times before running away, trying to escape these guards. One of the guardians jumped up onto the roof and began chasing Vash, running a lot faster than Vash is, as Vash quickly tried to parkour down the castle and make his way onto the road. Trying to figure out a way to get out, as crossbows were getting shot at him. He tried to dived into the water of these canals, but the guardian managed to just run on the water, chasing after Vash as he took his great sword and stabbed into the water, stabbing Vash, causing him to go unconscious and black out in this darkness. As Vash woke, he seemed to be inside a cell. He was awoke by the princess, saying, "Vash, what happened? What did you find out? Did you find out who the traitor was?" And she said, "I'm sorry, Vash. There's not much I can do to help you at the moment. Your trial begins at dawn tomorrow. I wish you luck, and you'll be tried in front of the whole royal council. It's a private council, so your friends will not be coming." She gave him food and water and left. I have to drink because my mouth is dry. Anyways, the day of the trials, Vash was woken up, and he was led to the throne room, where he was placed in front of the king and both princesses, Princess Keyleth and Princess known as Adeline, the princess who they met before. All the royal members were on the sides. Guardians without their helmets, for the first time in a while, were standing on the sides as well. So the king spoke, saying, or not the king, as one of these kind of robed members, almost like a member from the the Cathedral of Pelor, spoke up and saying, "Vashti Wolford, you are on trial for sneaking around on castle grounds. You were tried with sneaking on top of the roof. You were tried with trespassing into warrior quarters and attempting to escape. Witnesses said you were sneaking on top of the roof of the castle near the warrior quarters. Rumors also state that you tried hiding your true name. Instead of Vash, you were known as Canwell. You were seen entering and leaving Princess Keyleth's room multiple times. To spot an explanation, you exclaimed you were sleeping with the princess. If there is anything you wish to tell me, if there's anything you wish to tell me, is there anything else you wish to tell me that you were doing?" Vash kind of explained that he was just trying his best to help, and the king spoke up saying, "Vash, I will be really honest. This really surprised me, and the thing that confuses me is that whatever you were doing, you did at an interesting time. Not too long after the assassin invasion at the Sword Festival, which I know you were present during the attack of the Sword Festival and that you were helping defeat the assassins, but I'm just wondering if there's a reason behind it now. Maybe you're just trying to help and you had no part in the attack, or perhaps your plan was failing so you'd switch sides to help yourself not get in major trouble. It also appeared you and Camel were great friends or comrades, yet you used his name when sneaking around. When trying to enter the warrior quarters, you told a guard you were looking for Keyleth's room, yet you just came from there." And Vash kind of spoke up saying that Princess Keyleth believes that there is a traitor among the royal council, and she asked for his help. And Princess Keyleth was basically frowned upon after this. As the king kind of spoke to him, Castan began to walk out, saying that he saw Vash sneaking around, following him inside the library, and then following him out into the garden. He said that he introduced himself as Canwell and hiding his true nature, and began just basically spreading a lot of lies and stuff that didn't necessarily happen. He was just basically roasting Vash. And Vash really confused, wanting that Cassidy seemed to be this really nice guy, but yet he's just hating him. Vash eventually, failing the trial, was sentenced to death, where he was sent back to his prison room. The group kind of freaking out, not knowing what to do. They managed to convince one of the guardians, Mordred, to helping them. And as they met their way to the cells to talk with Vash, Vash explained that his parents aren't really dead, or that Cassidy's parents aren't really dead, from what Cassidy told him. And they asked, and just all this information about Cassidy, saying his parents are still alive. He lied to me and said they were dead. Basically, you need to find out where they are and all this. They managed to, well, everyone but Caspian, I believe it's just, or everyone but Vash, Caspian, Aldrax, made up with Mordred, the kind of general of the Guardians, and asked them for their help. He proceeded to say, okay, basically explain that he is, that Cassian's parents live in Goldshire, and that they should go there. So they made their way to Goldshire, talking to the blacksmith. He was working there, saying that, trying to find out information. The blacksmith had all the keys made for the tavern rooms, and upon bribing him with lots of money, he explained which room they were in, and he gave them a key for the tavern room. So they made their way to the tavern room. They were greeted, and they explained what was going on and that they needed to come here. Cassian's parents eventually agreed, saying, yes, we can. But they wanted to stay and be led by Mordred and not them. Aldrax and Caspian basically agreed, and Mordred explained that before you head back to the castle, you need to know that you guys are all going to be taken into questioning and are going to be asked what is going on, what happened if you were assisting Vash. They accepted this as made their way back to Aldrax. As they made their way back to Stormwind, Aldrax and Caspian were handcuffed and thrown into prison, where suddenly Lucian burst into the cell rooms and began to yell at Caspian, asking, what did you do? And all this stuff, yelling that Mordred is in serious trouble, that he's in a lot of pain and he may not live, and that Cassian's parents have been killed. And they were the last ones to be seen there. It seemed that Caspian and Aldrax were being framed, and they didn't know why. Caspian managed to persuade Lucian to let Vash free to see if he can find proof on Cassidy, to see if he can figure out what's going on. As Cassidy kind of freed himself, he began kind of scoping around and found out that Cassidy was talking with one of these assassins. He was caught sneaking, and Cassidy kind of laughed at him and said, well, now you're actually going to die. And as Vash was stabbed in the back, Cassidy was about to do the finishing blow when time stopped, and Princess Keyleth was right beside him. As he said, Vash, you got to leave now. You only have limited time. As Vash took off, as he turned his back, he watched as the princess's throat, or as she watched as basically a knife dagger when a knife hilt was slammed into the princess's head as she dropped to the ground. Vash was once again thrown back into a cell, explaining to Lucian what's going on. They managed to convince him that we need to find evidence, we need to check the gardens and everything, so they managed to meet up with Anivia. And they managed to kind of examine this garden, all of them actually being freed, to kind of observe. After basically, I screwed that all up. As they're all inside the prison room after realizing that Vash failed being sneaky, they decided to break out the wish coin, making a very detailed wish, wishing for all the warrior council members, all the king and queen, everyone to basically put inside this room, fully armored, blah blah blah, and Cassidy to be stuck in this bubble. Well, used the wish coin. The wish came true, however, the armor they were wearing was plate armor and it was cursed. They were not inside the throne room. They were inside the throne room like they asked. They were just inside an unknown dimension. And everything was just really confusing. No one knew what was going on. Cassian was inside a bubble. They explained everything that was going on, and Cassian was kind of put into questioning. Not exactly knowing how to get out of this room, Alistair explained. The king said that if you manage to find a way at all, I'll take your word and I'll let you guys free for a little bit to see if you guys can find out what's going on. As they kind of explored, Caspian saw that one of the windows being open just had like a black void under it. So she decided there has to be some way out of here. So she jumped out the window. She eventually fell back into the actual void room, or the actual throne room, and the rest kind of followed, jumping out the window, all appearing back in the throne room before the weird dimension that they saw disappeared. They all made their way out to the garden, kind of trying to investigate, trying to figure out if there's any secret hideouts or anything like that. The garden is definitely suspicious. They appeared onto this bridge that kind of peered out of the storm and kind of looking out towards the water. Kriv and Vash kind of stayed at the bridge while Caspian and Aldrax and Arya, I believe, just Caspian and Aldrax made their way to Anivia, the blueprint maker, to not Anivia, Ari, to see if they can find any information about these blueprints, see if there's any hidden chambers, and basically to bring her out. The moment Aldrax and Caspian left, Kriv and Vash were quickly struck with these daggers, as Vash instantly dropped due to these daggers. And Kriv was stuck in a battle with these guys. While all these dangers were going out, Vash was basically killed, and Kriv was stuck fighting by himself. Aldrax and Caspian met with Ari, convincing her to basically come with them. As they came out, Ari saw that there was nothing here that was hidden, or nothing perhaps. It was just, she knew when she made this, when she made all the blueprints, that there was nothing hidden. And that she's just gonna go back. So the group, Aldrax and Caspian, decided to head back to the bridge to meet up with Vash and Kriv. Saw that Vash was lying on the ground dead, and Kriv was just now went unconscious as he fell to the ground. Caspian went in, beat the hell out of some guys, basically just punched a dude twice in the face and then kicked him in the throat. Aldrax, I believe, cut one in half, or Kriv did, and one of them decided to not let them take them alive and then jumped off the ledge. They decided Aldrax picked up Vash's body and sprinted towards the Cathedral of Pelor to get him revived, while Kriv took the body pieces of the man they sliced in half back to Lucian. Vash was managed to come back to life, and Lucian identified the markings of this dead body to have marks of Silvermoon, appearing that assassins were sent to Stormwind to try to take the sword and kill the king and queen, or kill the king. And they basically came to the conclusion that the treaty has been broken between Stormwind and Silvermoon, and Silvermoon is pissed because of the whole magic laws now that have been placed around. So the group is sentenced to a meeting with the king, asking, what do you want to do? They decide they can rather go to war or try to do a sneak path and assassinate the king and queen of Silvermoon. Asking the Heroes of Tav. The Heroes of Tav choosing the sneak path. They are told to rest up and then the next morning meet up with Gilmore inside the mage quarters. So the next morning they meet up with Gilmore. They're handed a Pegasus ring as well as some potions and some supplies. And they fly their way to Eversong Woods, and they land in a forest away from the city so they don't get seen. Upon arriving in these woods, they come across this old church, which is the hiding place they mentioned. And as Kriv kind of kicks open the door, he sees a figure kind of standing there with his long red hair, this gold-plated armor, and his hands above this barrel of fire, keeping warm. And the door in the back right side of the podium opens, and this female kind of approaches, standing close to the barrel. You can see she has this orangish reddish hair. And she basically speaks, saying, "We have some guests, Tathan." And as this man, known as Tathan, kind of speaks out, saying, "We know you're here." As Kriv kind of walks upon these people, or walks inside, as this man sees Kriv and Miley, he greets them, saying, "I never thought I'd see you again, Dragonborn and Cleric." He introduces himself as Tathan, and the woman introduces herself as Zelene, saying that they were old members of their adventuring group back in the day. That they were basically killed and switched into Blood Elves due to basically them being racist against Blood Elves. And they learned that the Blood Elf people were actually really nice and sweet, so they wanted to kill these king and queen for corrupting these people and see if they can become the new king and queen to prove that Silvermoon is not as bad as a place as it seems, and bring these people, these Blood Elves, into an actual good city once more. While they're here, Finnegan came out, same with Mordred, as they went inside and told the people to come outside and we'll introduce the plans. However, Kriv stayed inside, as he was hearing voices telling him to go to a secret part in the church. Kriv quickly grabbed Finnegan before Finnegan left, told him everything, and Finnegan basically said, "It's up to you." And he said, as Kriv introduced or told him about his deity, Wehas, being a interesting deity, one that Finnegan does not really like. He said, "It's up to you. Deities can be tricky. Just be safe." Kriv decided to enter inside the secret room as she kind of spoke, saying, "My follower, it's good to see you in the flesh. Become the heroes of Tav. I never would have pictured it as that. You need to continue being strong. You have a great power inside you, and we can accomplish much together." She explains that Miley has much to learn. The two of you could harness the power of the blade and rule the realm. With that sword, you could rule everyone. You're the heroes of Tav, and promising you would get stronger. And basically promised to take my side, for something bad is coming. And she explains that if you join my side and promise that you'll stick by me, I'll give you something. I will tell you something about your past. Kriv accepted, learning that his tribe was killed by a race of Draconians, these Goliath mixed with Dragonborns, in a sense. She explained that they see themselves as the superior Dragonborns, even though they are just half-breeds. And she says, basically, you should wipe them all out. They're up in Northrend, hiding out. She says, "Good luck." As Kriv makes his way out, they learn that the plan is to basically become invisible, fly into the Silvermoon City, breaking past the, or Finnegan's going to break past the barrier, assassinate or knock out the two guards, not kill them, just knock them out, because they don't need to kill anyone but the king and queen. And once they get inside the throne room, that they all need to kill the king and queen, while Finnegan is going to activate a almost like a soul connection throughout all of them. Since the king and queen are very strong individuals with the ways of magic, the magic would kill them in one hit, no matter what. They use not just 9th level spells, they use 10th level spells due to their this unknown power that they have. Finnegan makes them all wear a necklace that kind of connects them all together. Finnegan being almost the tank in this scenario. As they all fly above, Caspian managed to knock out both of these guards, Vash failing. As they land in the throne room, the king and queen kind of look at them and kind of laugh as as Finnegan sits on the ground, making a prismatic wall, blocking the outside guards from being able to get in. As they break war into these king and queen, they notice that all these powerful spells that are being hit on them are being transferred to Finnegan, as Finnegan is taking meteor swarms and power word kills and lightning effects. Eventually, after bringing these individuals down to very low health, they began to use a new magic called the Void. The Void being this banned magic, for it created the Sakura Void Dragon in the past. Upon using the Void, these new, very dark, ominous figures approached and began to attack the king and queen as well, helping, almost sucking the Void out of the queen. Eventually, the king and queen were defeated, and these individuals that suddenly began to help introduce themselves as the Void Watchers, and saying, if you did justice for killing these two, we know that they were attempting it but never successfully did it. Seems you all brought it out. Thanks for that. At any point in your adventures, meet us in the Blood Mist Isles in Kalimdor. We reward you greatly. And they said goodbye. Upon quickly looting these king and queen before Tathan and Zaleen demanded that they needed to leave soon, they found this relic of Silvermoon, which is this hammer. And they quickly left after seeing the wall drop as almost 200 guards rushed in to Tathan and Zaleen as they disappeared out of Silvermoon, back to the king and queen, or back to the king of Stormwind. As they appeared back, as they appeared back inside the throne room, they were seeing a very weird sight. They saw that the king was kind of in like almost a sad state after seeing his daughter die, Keyleth. I forgot to mention that part too. Keyleth died, the princess. When they were all teleported using the wish spell, when her body appeared, she had just a huge gash across her throat. Basically, she was killed from the assassins or Kassadin. And the king seemed to be in despair as he promised them, saying, okay, we'll have a keep built for you guys. It'll be built by the docks. He says, I applaud you all. Blah, blah, blah. And he says, I'm sorry to dismiss you all so soon, but I need to be leaving. Princess Adeline will be taking command of the kingdom while I'm gone. And he picks up this huge bag and huge sword with a shield. And as they kind of question where he's going, he kind of shuts it off. And he begins to be aggressive as Princess Adeline speaks up, saying he's going to the Shadowfell to find a way to bring back Keyleth. The neutral plane with the astral sea, where the souls of mortals are drawn, where they die. Ghost specters and other undead, they live there. He says he heard rumors that before the war ended, a resurrection cube was found in the elemental plane of found in the element. Wait, what? Holy shit! I read that wrong. He's going to the Shadowfell to find a way to bring back Keyleth. Rumors state that before the war ended, a resurrection cube was found in the elemental mage of darkness' castle. He's hoping maybe it might be there, or he's hoping that her soul is refusing to move to the fused plane, the neutral plane within the astral sea where the souls of mortals are drawn when they die. And he's just hoping he can find her there, hoping that maybe her soul is being stubborn and don't want to just leave that quickly. The king quickly yells at her, saying she said too much. And he says, if any of this gets out, I would be very displeased, and then leaves. Princess Adeline explains basically, it's a suicide mission if you guys want to try to help your king. I would suggest you don't go. But if you do, I can help aid you. They decide not to help the king. And they are dismissed. They decide to kind of just kind of relax for a little bit, sleep, and kind of rest up for a little while. Um, as they're resting in their boat, as they fall asleep, they hear that, or Vash kind of wakes up to basically an old woman. He appears in his captain's quarters as she tries to kill him. Vash learns that this woman is Arcadia, his old lover. He was pregnant with child, but was killed when Vash was away during a missionary quest. As Vash watched her die, he kind of slumped and became this person he wasn't really. However, suddenly she's back, and he doesn't know why. Upon screaming, Kriv ran inside and managed to slice her in half, killing her, once again right in front of Vash. As they quickly were confused, they went to go talk to Gilmore, and Gilmore said that she was alive, and that she was put under a spell, that the only way to get rid of the spell is to kill the user who cast it upon them. They also found a note saying that basically the Crow, the old mercenary group that Vash was in, was wanting to kill him or take him. Gilmore suggested that they should probably, if they want help to attack the Crow, they should try to get a hold of the gunslingers, because the gunslingers are basically at dispute with the Crow. They decide to send out a letter to the gunslingers and kind of decide what to do next. Waiting for a response, they decide to don't remember what they do next. They decide to head to part of the group decides to head to Dalaran after hearing that Arya's parents have been sending notes to Dalaran, just asking about her. While Caspian and Miley decided to start talking to people, trying to start a rave for some reason. But Arya, Vash, and Canwell decide to head to Dalaran with Clucky. Upon entering Dalaran, they are quickly questioned. Vash and Arya are... Oh, not Vash and Arya. Canwell and Clucky are grabbed by some of the mages and basically said, "You need to come with us. We just basically need to hold you captive for a little while." Not knowing why, but they agreed to go with them. Vash and Arya made their way to the Violet Citadel, where they met with Rayron, who was the old hero of Zatov, or one of the old heroes of Zatov. Rayron explained basically, here are your letters. The letters say that we were wrong to give you up, Arya, as a child. All the money in the world wouldn't compare to you, and we just want you back. And all this stuff, saying that where your home was and everything like that, which is located in the Moonglade. Boop, because I gotta exit this crap out. I have way too much stuff up. But, Raven explains that, Moonglade is a very nature-based place. It may have been targeted. There is a relic held there, that Darnassus moved their relic to the Moonglade because of Darnassus being targeted for some reason. So they decided to make their way to Moonglade, seeing that her home has another note in it saying that if you're reading this, we had to vacate quickly. A strange creature made its way here and was searching for the relic, searching for a relic of some kind. We're not exactly sure, but your grandfather told us to make your way to the dens. As they made their way to the dens, that kind of looks like this old, kind of like the entrance to a hobbit's home. Two large treants came to life. As Arya kind of talked to them, they said that it is Arya. Basically let her inside. As the doors opened, Arya's parents kind of came out and greeted her, loving her, and all her brothers and sisters, and there was a lot, greeted her, saying that their grandfather didn't make it, and that the relic calls to Arya, saying that she's basically the child, or just just almost like the woman of dragons, or the mother of dragons as she calls it. As she makes her way inside the relic room, they are met with a I believe it's called a goth, or like a lesser beholder. As they break into fight with this goth, they eventually kill it, causing another room to open on the other side. As Arya enters it, she finds a ring, and one in the middle with a bunch of vines kind of going around the circle to form the neck, or the ring itself. As she puts it on, a little nature dragon comes out. Almost looks like has like the tail of a leaf, and it's just a beautiful little dragon. She kind of comes out, successfully completing the getting the relic. They are kind of grabbed by the sunlight and brought back out to the just the land itself. And they were just thanked, and they were told that Arya's parents explained that going to be living back at Dalaran. Raven basically is going to let them live there, and then they explained that they love her so much and all this, and they were sent us back to Dalaran, where Clucky the chicken was cleansed of some danger, and Raven, upon asking, saying that, what about me? Raven explained that he has a little too much in him right now. He can only take so much at a time. So they eventually made their way back to Stormwind. During this time, Kriv met up with Finnegan, saying that he talked to his deity, saying that that the people that killed Strap are located in Northrend. He wanted to see if it's true, if Finnegan come with them to investigate. Finnegan agreed, as Finnegan and Kriv left to the Icecrown Citadel in Northrend. They appeared kind of below this huge mountain. As they made their way up the mountain, they were kind of just watching, seeing a bunch of undead roaming around and all these draconians walking around. So it was confirmed that this deity was telling the truth. Upon sitting there, however, they saw this huge undead dragon begin making their way towards them. And Finnegan quickly put his hand on Kriv as he tried to teleport him away. Nothing worked. It seemed Finnegan's magic was useless. And Finnegan began freaking out as he kind of put his hand on Kriv and said, "See what I'm seeing." For a quick second, Kriv saw that there was this dark necrotic pulse pulsing from the bottom of the Icecrown Citadel. As they as he began to keep telling him to teleport, or trying to get him to teleport, that he decided we just need to run. As they took off running backwards, as they slid down the hill, as they were just caught on top of this hill, as this huge dragon landed in front of them, a Draconian on top with a bunch of undead. The Draconian holding a sword that seemed to control the undead. And they just basically, the Draconian basically told them, you're screwed. And Finnegan said, kind of whispered to Kriv, "You need to run." And as he kind of shook his hand, he handed him a potion of teleportation and said, "I will try my best to cover you. You need to leave now." And Kriv ran away, running down the hill. And as he turned around, he saw that Finnegan was pulling off patches off his cloak as they formed into blades and weird potions, weird vials, that as he kind of threw on the ground, they exploded, and he battled all these people. And as Kriv managed to run out of sight of them, he saw that the potion suddenly came back to life. It was, instead of this dull gray, it actually came into a normal potion, And as he began to chuck it, the dragon began to fly right behind him and almost taking him out before he quickly disappeared out of sight. As he met up with, as he teleported inside the throne room, he met up with Princess Adeline. As he explained to Princess Adeline what happened, Princess Adeline explained that there is a rave going on for some reason, and that we can get this done or dealt with probably tomorrow, because if we go tonight, they probably know we're coming. So Princess Adeline asked Kriv, let's just enjoy the night, because your friends are throwing a rave in my city, if you would go with me. So Kriv and Adeline made their way to the rave, where Caspian and Miley have managed to convince almost the whole town, including the Guardians. Convincing the Guardians because Caspian has been seeing Mordred, or they have been talking. And they managed to just have a really fun night for once, just kind of getting everything out. However, Kriv kind of still freaking out about this whole thing. He confesses to Gilmore what happened, and Gilmore seems kind of hurt by this, but doesn't show it. They eventually decide to, the next day, that they need to head to the Ascon Citadel, but they didn't know how. They meet up with Mordred, and Mordred explains that I can't exactly do anything or send an army to the Ascon Citadel without the king's approval. And Kriv says, well, the king's not here. And basically causing Mordred to kind of freak out, like, what do you mean the king's not here? And Caspian says, we can't really tell you. So Mordred gets pretty pissed off and leaves, causing Princess Adeline to come in and explain, or just ask for information. She explains that, well, the best person you can talk to is probably L'Oreal, Finnegan and Gilmore's sister. She goes and gets L'Oreal. L'Oreal kind of greets them, explaining what is going on. It's probably a terrible idea to send an army, because you're just a walking target then. And that we should just try to sneak in the best we can. So everyone and L'Oreal decide to make their way to the Ascon Citadel, where they see this enormous fortress planted on this glacier with thick walls and sturdy guard towers, and these massive gates. You see all kinds of undead walking around, and I don't know why I'm yawning so much. As they make their way up this hill, kind of stealthing, to see that there is a huge dragon, the undead dragon that they've seen before, who looks to be completely decapitated and exploded. As they kind of continue to stealth down, they manage to come across to the Ascon Citadel, watching all their weapons and magic deplete, knowing that there is this anti-magic field or whatever it is going on. As they see a couple of Draconians, one of the Draconians kind of sees something and gets a little suspicious and begins to make his way down, or up to the hill to investigate. As Kriv slides down and begins attacking this Draconian, the group quickly kills this Draconian as the other one yells for backup. As they break into battle with that Draconian, killing him as well, hiding. Aldrich's hiding on a staircase, not really hiding much at all, but these Draconians don't manage to see him and kind of freak out, or they don't really freak out. They just kind of walk away, trying to patrol the area, thinking they might have gotten inside. At this point, Caspian's body is flipping out, just wanting to go inside, and the kind of like it seems there's just another part of her body that seems to be trying to take control of her. Same with Canwell's body. As they make their way inside, they break into battle with some undead. Where after defeating the undead, Cassian's body is demanding to go downstairs in this Ascon Citadel. As they make their way down, they come across a bunch of prisoners who seem to be completely drained. and they just need to be stuck in these cells. And they free the prisoners, and once again, Caspian and Camel's body demand to go downstairs. As they make their way downstairs, they come across this huge ziggurat with a giant purple orb and the just on top that just appears to be moving by itself, with a woman kind of walking around. As the woman kind of looks at them, just seeing there's people here, suddenly Camel's body explodes with this dark energy as it kind of corrupts his body. His eyes now basically turning the same as when Caspian did at the same time at the battle. He just begins walking towards the ziggurat as Aldrax quickly pushes him into the side and runs up to the ziggurat to see what's going on. As he kind of steps on the ziggurat, kind of seeing what's going on, he suddenly feels his force ripped out of his body, and at that point Aldrax has died. As Aldrax falls backwards, thankfully, as he lands on the ground, his body lifeless. Caspian fights control to gain control of her body as the darkness is trying to consume her as well. Kriv busts in and grabs Canwell from walking into this ziggurat as Canwell suddenly has these huge blades bust out of his arms and stab Kriv, but Kriv manages to hang on. As Caspian at this point uses all the ki in her body, and at this point very much strengthens her spirit to break free of Canwell, causing the dark energy inside him that she implanted to go back inside her. And at this point she manages to gain full control of her body for once and not feel this dark energy inside her, and she confesses that she has what's known as the Lord of Terror inside her, that it was trapped inside her, and she doesn't know why, but she hasn't been able to talk or explain it because he wouldn't let her. And she explains that we need to leave this place, but Kriv demands no. And Kriv makes his way upstairs because he wants to save Finnegan and fight and just free Finnegan. As Kriv and L'Oreal make their way upstairs, Caspian and Canwell and Arya heading out because Canwell is very much exhausted. As they make their way outside, Kriv and L'Oreal kind of heading out. Aldrax, his vision is still black, but suddenly he is faced with 3 doorways: a dark purple, a crimson red, and I forget the other one. Hold on. It's a dark red. Yeah, a crimson red, a normal red, and then a purple. He just sees 3 doorways, and some voices speak to him. However, I can't say them because I know my people are going to watch this video. He chooses the purple doorway and suddenly is brought back to life, not knowing what is going on. But he's fully back to health, and as if nothing ever happened, he makes his way upstairs to join Kriv and L'Oreal. As Caspian says that you guys basically... We're just going to ignore like that ever happened. That was strange. Really strange. Anyways, Caspian joins Aldrax, Kriv, and L'Oreal, and as they make their way up to the upper floor, they fight 2 vampires. Quickly killing them, they make their way to the very top floor, where they see the Draconian who attacked Kriv at the very beginning, holding the sword, with another Draconian right next to him who's chained up. On the other side, a zombie humanoid figure who appears to be Finnegan, whose body is now fleshed and just ruined. As they break into battle, Aldrax slams his foot into Finnegan, causing him to plummet over 200 feet down to the ground, causing him to become a red mush, potentially destroying Finnegan forever. As they break into battle with this Draconian, after Kriv demanding that he does a one-on-one, but realize that this Draconian can beat the living shit out of him. They break into battle where as the Draconian can see Kriv almost dying and decides to keep him alive and try to kill the other people. As he tries to, as Aldrax tries to throw him off the ledge, the Draconian sees that, okay, I'll try to throw you off the ledge. As the Draconian leader kind of grabs Aldrax and pushes him off the ledge twice. The second time, Aldrax just barely hanging on as the Draconian takes his sword and goes to stab it inside Aldrax, setting him off this 2-inch ledge. Caspian punches the Draconian as he kind of turns to the side as Caspian sticks her hand inside this Draconian's chest and rips out his heart. As the Draconian kind of looks at her, she managed to punch past plate armor into the scales of this Draconian, causing his armor to basically shatter and fall off onto the ground before his body tumbled off 200 feet down below, smashing on the ground. As Aldrax pulled himself up, they quickly kind of freaked out and just realizing that Caspian's kind of a badass at this moment. They picked up the sword using a little cloth because they can sense some kind of dark energy from it. And as they did, they watched as this blood flew out from where Finnegan smashed and flew into the building, down below into where the prisoners were. As they followed it, they saw that the blood ran into one of the prisoners here, causing his body to kind of light up again, turning into Finnegan. Finnegan kind of looked at them, wondering what just happened. And as they kind of stood here for a while, explaining what's going on, Finnegan slowly began to lose his memory and continued to lose it, and they all agreed that they need to leave here as quickly as they can. As they met up with Arya, who decided to stay back because her magic was depleted and she was probably useless in the scenario. They met up with Arya, Vash, and Canwell because they stayed back to make sure Arya was okay and make sure Canwell was safe. Arya used the Pegasus ring. As the Pegasus came down, they all flew back to Galahara to use the teleportation circles to head back to Stormwind and took Finnegan to the Cathedral of Pelor. That was where we left off. And I probably missed a lot of stuff. I guarantee Vash will explain it in the comments below if I did miss anything. But yeah, I'm sorry for the long video. I'm sorry for not making videos in a long time. I've been messing with my new laptop, trying to figure out what games I should play. There is a game I do want to play, but that's not important right now. This is D&D storytelling. But thank you guys very much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And tell me what you're enjoying about the series so far, and who's your favorite character so far. We have Vash, the mercenary, charismatic man, who is pretty interesting. Canwell, basically the child of dragons. Kriv, now the hero Zatov, who is a barbarian whose family was slain by a bunch of Draconians. Miley, who has kind of worked with Kriv for her entire life, who's also a member of Wehas, who is a pretty good cleric. Caspian, who is the holder of a very powerful demon known as the Lord of Terror. Aldrax, who is who's also a barbarian, whose family was slain by a bunch of frost giants. I forgot to mention a whole part about Aldrax, but I'll explain that some other time. Who am I missing? Arya, who is a child of Dalaran, who is basically the mother of dragons. And I think that's it. I think I'm not. Yeah. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. What is my hair doing? Holy crap. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys all in the next video. That shouldn't be this long of D&D storytelling. Bye-bye.